Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be talking about box and whisker plots. First off, what is a box and whisker plot? Well, it's a way to visualize data so that we can get a quick summary and various statistics or pieces of information that would be useful from a data set. So here in this image we have a very general box and whisker plot. This thing here is called our box, and then these are called whiskers, and they connect our minimum and maximum values to our box. So when you see a vertical bar like this that is all the way to the left of your image, that value represents the minimum or the smallest value in your data set. And then when you see this vertical line all the way to the right, that represents the maximum or the largest or highest value in your data set. And now, one last thing that is helpful to know is this vertical bar that is inside of our box, that represents our median value. And if you don't remember, median is a measure of center. And another way of saying that is that whatever that value is, 50% of your data set is below that value, and also 50% of your numerical data set is above that value. Let's go ahead and jump in and look at a specific example. In this graphic, we have high temperatures in Fahrenheit in the month of July. And from this graphic, we can gather various pieces of information. So what we want to do for our max temperature is we want to find the vertical bar that's all the way to the right. And so in this case, that's happening at 95 degrees. So in the month of July, we've taken the high temperature every single day, and the highest temperature that occurred on any given day in July was 95 degrees. And then here, the minimum temperature is associated with the leftmost vertical bar. And in this case, that is 69 degrees. And then our median is the vertical bar inside of our box. So our median temperature was 85 degrees over all of the days in July. So remember, this means that out of all the days in July, half of them were below 85 degrees and half of them were above 85 degrees. Now, one thing that I want to discuss is this dot here. And if you ever see a dot on a box and whisker plot, this represents what's called an outlier. And an outlier is a data point within a data set that is really far away from all of the other data points. It lies far outside of the other values, I guess. And so depending on how you want to think about it, really our minimum temperature could be 45 degrees. Sometimes, depending on what you're using your data set for, sometimes we remove outliers because it might be some kind of anomaly. Depending on how you want to use your data set, you may decide to include or exclude outliers. But in this case, your minimum temperature, if you include the outlier, would be 45 degrees. If you decide to exclude it, it would be 69 degrees. Now, another piece of information is the range between these vertical lines. This is called a quartile, and this in fact represents the upper quartile, meaning that the top 25% of our data values are somewhere between 92 degrees to 95 degrees. And so that's the top 25% of our data set. Similarly, this would represent our lower quartile, and that means that the bottom 25% of our data is somewhere between 69 degrees Fahrenheit and 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, another really cool thing about box and whisker plots is we can use it to kind of quickly make comparisons between two different data sets. Let's look at an example of that. All right, so in this graphic, we have box and whisker plots both for the month of July and November. So from this, we could very quickly read off the various values that we are looking for. So in July, our max temperature was 95 degrees. And then our minimum temperature was 69 degrees. and then our median was 85 degrees. Let's kind of quickly compare for the month of November. So the max temperature in November was 80 degrees, the minimum was 59 degrees, and then the median we can say was 67 degrees. So that's just kind of a really nice way to quickly compare the max, min, and median temperatures between the months of July and November. Let's quickly look at another example of where we might use a box and whisker plot. Here's another place where we might see a box and whisker plot. Suppose that this was a hypothetical class that took their exam 1, and this represents their exam 1 scores. So this tells us that the lowest exam score that occurred was a 64, and let's assume that this is a score out of 100 points. The highest exam score that anyone received was a 100. And then here we can see that the median exam score was an 82. And again, the median exam score means that half of the class got below an 82 and half of the class got above an 82. So that's a quick summary about how to read box and whisker plots. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.